Joining me in the 92.9 The Beat studio, Todd Glass, hilarious stand-up comedian.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I appreciate it. Good to be here.
Yeah, not your first time in Springfield. You're going to be at Blue Room Comedy Club tonight, December 10th and 11th, so tomorrow night and Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome back to Spring Vegas.
Thank you. Why do you call it Spring Vegas?
I just got to spice up the name somehow. Yeah. Just catch me on a random day.
You know, we talked about this quickly before we went on, and I have been here before. And, you know, the new place, which we'll talk about, and then we can talk about me, but I want to talk about the club real quick.
Yeah.
But the new place is unbelievable. But the old place was amazing, too.
That's kind of you to say.
Well, what I'm meaning, he didn't own it, so he had guidelines that he had to follow, and and that was an amazing club. Hey, I came back. You don't get on, and then this might sound weird. It might sound boast, but it's a compliment to the club. You don't, even though it was in the back of a pool hall.
Yeah.
It's what was when you got back there. You're like, what?
Yeah.
It was a perfect little room, and you don't take 2 flights to go to a club if it's a bad club. You just, unless you're, look, at the point in my career, like I'm not going to get on 2 flights.
Yeah, you can be choosy because you're well established.
Yeah, it doesn't mean I'm selling out 5,000 seat theaters, but when it comes to comedy clubs, at this point, you pick the ones you really like.
Yeah.
And if a club's okay, not a bad club, it's okay, I'm still not getting on 2 flights to get to it. But I went to the Blue Room. Someone told me, because you never know where you find a great club. Sometimes people go, a friend of mine was thinking about opening up a club in Boise. He goes, you think comedians would come to Boise? I go, if it's a great club, comedians go to the club. If the city's cool or if it's in a cool little part of the city, that's a bonus. But the new place, shut the front door.
It's incredible, isn't it?
It is.
I went for the first time. Bill Bellamy was in town. I checked out his show, and I was blown away with what he did there.
When you walk into the bar, the lounge, there's a lounge before you enter the showroom, and it's sexy, and it's blue, and he has cool music playing, and then you go into the showroom. That place, let me tell you something, it's really nice, and it's only going to get better and better, and I'm really happy to be here. I got in last night.
Yeah.
I have like a little band that I use. I bring a keyboard player with me, has an iPad. And,
okay. A little music is going to be in the show?
Yeah, and then I have a drummer, and then I have another guy on guitar, and they play sometimes as the crowd's coming in. They play before the show, and then they do a lot of stuff with me.
Yeah.
And I'll say this real quick. So if people are like, well, what does he use the band for? How's that work? It's not that I sing, because I don't. I mean, we close with a song. It's mostly just bits. But there's something online, because people should know what they're going out to see. I have a few Netflix specials, but there was more of a rougher thing we shot called Todd Glass, The Event of a Life. No, Todd Glass, The Event of a Lifetime. And it's on YouTube. It's free. A guy that played keyboards for me every night would just set up cameras and Velcro one to the table. And then he edited 4 dates together. And that really gives a feel for what I do. So if people are like, what does he do? Go watch Todd Glass, The Event of a Lifetime. You go, oh, okay, that's what we're going to see.
Yeah, a little spoiler alert if you're coming out to the show this weekend.
Yeah.
You've been busy. Where were you yesterday? Are you kind of on tour or picking up spots you want to be?
Yesterday I got here at night because we went in and rehearsed with no show.
Yeah.
That way it's out of the way. But I've been, we talked about this before too. I would a little busy lately, although it's, I'm not recording it now, but in the last few months, I'm on a news show, talk about a plug. It's called 10-Year-Old Tommy. 10-Year-Old Tom. I think I'd get the name right.
It's your show. You can call it whatever you want.
I should know, right. Call it 10-Year-Old Vegas.
Yeah.
To spice that up. It's called 10-Year-Old Tom. It's on HBO Max, and I play the principal in I think it's a junior high.
Yeah.
I play the principal. I do the voice of a principal, 10-Year-Old Tom on HBO Max. So.
Is it loosely inspired by your life at all, or
no,
is the name just a coincidence?
It's not my show, but if you see the character, he had me in mind.
Yeah.
It looks a little bit like me. I don't have a bald spot, though. I asked him, I said, jokingly after I saw it, because I did all the recording and never saw You just went in blind. I didn't see it, and about 3 months in, I asked one of the production people, I go, can I see what I look like? And then she showed me.
Had you done animation prior?
Never.
So this was your first kind of experience with it. Do you think had you seen what your character looked like, you would have played them any different?
No. I made it, they just really, they just let me be me. 50% of it is me just ad-libbing. And my friends that know me really well and know my life, they'll be like, oh, that had to be an ad-lib. That happened to Todd, or that's something he did at the supermarket. Which really lets the character have a lot of, lets him have more depth.
Yeah, lets him breathe and lets him. I think I was reading the other day, Bill Murray improvised a lot of Scrooged, and I feel like that's That's really the mark of a good comedian, when he can just make stuff up and it's hilarious.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, but also I think it's more that it happened. The mark of the Steve, who was before this he did. Oh, I should know it. He had another show that had a very what do you call it? A cult following, and it was called. I'm embarrassed. I don't remember.
You want me to Google it real quick?
Maybe later.
Okay.
Yeah. Wait, but yeah, people will, if they just put in who did this show, they'll know who did his other one.
Yeah.
And he has a history for letting comedians, because you can't do it unless they let you do it.
Yeah.
But sometimes they go, hey, mess around a little. But they mean like stick to the script 90%, play 10, play 20. Here, they never pulled me back. It was during the pandemic. I needed it to get out of my house and be able to do something. And it was pure joy every day.
Yeah.
I would not every day, whenever I went in, it was so much fun.
Some days it was like, I don't want to know about this.
Never.
But most of the time.
Never.
No, all the time it was good.
I kept thinking I was going to get in there one day. They're going to go, whenever you're doing a thing, they always try to critique you without making you feel like you did it wrong. They go, hey, that's great, but. And then you're like, okay, that's really great. They never did that.
That's a compliment sandwich. That's a Midwestern move. You know what I mean?
Oh, when they go, because they don't want to. But as if you're doing an actor or anything in life, even if whatever job you have, a teacher, when they go, hey, we love what you did, and whenever there's they're like, they don't want to just come on and go, hey, you did that wrong.
Hey, that sucked. Try it again.
Try it again.
They don't want to do that.
That sucked. Try it again. Action. 3, 2.
But did you ever see yourself moving to a space of animation and doing a show like this? I know that you've been on like David Spade's show. You toured with him. You toured with Jack Black. So you've done a lot of touring and stage type work. Did you ever see yourself in an animation space with this new HBO show?
I had just heard my whole life out. Animation's great because you know why, you go in your sweatpants.
Yeah,
and
it's like radio.
Right. I always thought the best radio, if I ever, because, now with podcasting, it's taken, radio has merged together with it. But I always thought drive time, because it doesn't ruin your morning, and you can do whatever you want at night. So.
Yeah, so before this, in another life, I was a morning news anchor, a morning news reporter on the boob tube, the TV. And I have to be in at like 3:30 every morning. Oh. And we were there till like 1:30 every day, sometimes 2. And that definitely made me want to cry a little bit. But
there's people listening right now that do that, so our hearts go out. But I've been here 2 other times. Yeah. I was saying to Chris, the owner of the club, and Molly last night that we wanted to go. I'm like, somebody in the audience was hanging out after the show from the other show, not my show, because I didn't do a show. And I told them where I wanted to go. They're like, no. Like, whenever you're in a city, they always don't want you to go somewhere. They're like, you got to go to my place to get a sandwich. I'm like, where is it? They go, you get on the express highway or whatever. I'm like, I'm not getting on highways.
They just take you to a Subway.
Yeah, but can you imagine? My mom thought that, she goes, we found this really cool Chinese restaurant, and it was a chain. I'm like, Mom, this is
P.F. Chang's.
P.F. Chang's.
Yeah, oh, was it really?
P.F. Chang's. And but she goes, it's this place. We found it. I'm like, yeah, Mom, it's a chain. She goes, it is? I didn't know it was a chain.
Yeah, you can buy the frozen P.F. Chang's at Walmart. I don't want to brag, but I got a freezer full.
She didn't notice that.
Oops.
But yeah, they always tell you how big the sandwiches are. I love that. They're like, they're so big. People that brag about big food, they're like, these sandwiches, you can't even fit them in your mouth. You're like, well, I don't know if I like a sandwich I can fit in my mouth. Does that make me crazy?
No, I don't. If I want to buy, I want to buy the full sandwich. I don't want to just half buy it.
Thank you. You want an ample amount of meat. Look, neither of us are saying we want a skimpy sandwich, but you want whatever it is, some roasted pepper, a little bit of turkey, or if you're a vegetarian, whatever it is, and then the bread, you want a little bit. That's why you're eating a sandwich. I don't want to go, okay, now I'm just biting into lettuce.
Yeah, then it's just a salad. I didn't put all these things on here to have them in increments.
Thank you.
I know what you're saying.
Right?
Well, I didn't expect to have a little sandwich.
Sandwiches are great.
Sandwich conversation, but I'm quite enjoying the relatability that's to it.
I try to appreciate sometimes simple things. I think it's a good thing to do, though. I don't know where we started it, but sometimes when things are affordable, we don't treat them as if we're going out to a big dinner.
Yeah.
But if you may pretend you've never had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or grilled cheese, something like that. There's 30
American
things
classic.
like that.
Yeah.
Right. And you had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich later in life. Let's say you were it's crazy the way I think about it, but like you were in France and they go, you've never had a peanut butter and jelly or grilled cheese, whatever it is, and you ate a peanut butter and jelly and grilled cheese, you'd go, oh my God. It's creamy, it's jelly, it's sweet, it's dessert, it's food, it's substantial. Because they're a nickel, you don't really. So I try to sometimes in my house. We'll make grilled cheese sandwiches. Is that me?
No, I think that's me.
I'm sorry.
Wait, was it me? No, it wasn't
me.
me.
I'm sorry.
I'm not that popular.
Grilled cheese sandwiches. But set the table nice. Light a candle. Treat it like you were eating some expensive dinner and just really make it nice.
Yeah.
And now, I've never done this before, but I always say grilled cheese or something, grilled cheese, peanut butter and jelly. On TikTok, I saw grilled cheese, peanut butter and jelly. And they got...
Whoa.
Yeah.
They cross-contaminated the each with each.
And can I tell you something?
Yeah, beer me.
The guy who was tasting it, he goes, look, sometimes weird things taste good together. You would never think, hey, take that cheese over there and make it in the cake.
I did see a trend where people putting mustard on watermelon or something at one point.
Some weird things.
It's weird crap.
Not everything's for you, but once in a while, he looked like he just didn't think this was going to be good. And when he bit into it, he's like, what? He goes, folks, it's really good, but I haven't done it yet. But I will.
Today is the day.
Today's
Springfield's
the day.
The place of oddities. That's what I'm slowly rediscovering. I'm from here, and so I moved back, and I'm like, oh yeah, Springfield's a little weird, and I like it.
You think they'll ever get a direct flight in here from Los Angeles?
No, we don't direct. You've seen our planes. You've flown into the Springfield airport, haven't you?
The thing that's nice about it, I will tell you, is that when you finally get here, and we laid over in Dallas for a while. We ate some really good food. But when I got in, Chris, the owner, picked us up at the airport, and it's nice that it's so little.
It's so tiny.
And it's nice, though. It's a clean airport. It's nice. But yeah, and then you're 10 minutes from the hotel. Want to give a shout out? The Plaza?
University Plaza?
University Plaza.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. They deserve this shout out. They are so nice over there to the comedians. We stay there. That's where all the comedians stay. And they're just everybody at the desk or at the coffee place or when you go eat. They're like a lot of warm people over there. They always seem so sweet. I wanted to give them a shout out.
Yeah, University Plaza. I've heard good things about it. I've hosted a few events there, and it's always been really, really nice staff. So.
Yeah, they're super nice. And by the way, guys, I am stealing a few washcloths, but I think this shout out lets me be able to.
I don't think they're gonna notice. You know what I mean?
I saw a friend of mine buying washcloths. And I go, you buy washcloths?
Have you never been to a hotel?
You never been?
What's wrong with you? No, I get that. You're originally from Philadelphia, though. What is it like for you coming into a place that's obviously much smaller in population and doing a show and then also enjoying the venue when I'm sure you've been to your fair share of large city venues that are nice?
Like I said, it's the club.
Yeah.
For me, it's the club. And it happens to be in a quaint part of town. It doesn't matter, that little area down there is really quaint, know.
It's crossing the movie theater underneath the parking garage. It's awesome.
And the street and the Christmas lights all over and there's that park area out front. And so like I said before, comedians go to the club. So it's fun to go to a little city. And also sometimes I think the audiences appreciate it.
Yeah.
I really go out of my way to put on a great show. From the minute they get, they already have it sexy over there. But if they didn't, I'd make it sexy. Like if their bar area was bright, I go to clubs and they know what I do. I've been doing it long enough. They go, look, Todd's going to come in. You just got to know. I don't have to change anything there. But from the minute you walk in, it's sexy. To get into the showroom with the band, then as you're leaving, the band plays the whole time the crowd's leaving. I put a lot into my show because I know that people spend money sometimes that they don't even have.
Yeah.
So try to make it like an experience. I can stretch out that experience by even when they're sitting there an hour before the show starts, the 20 minutes, maybe they're hanging out in the room before they leave when the show's over. So I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, that is a cool thing about the Blue Room Comedy is once the show's over, they have like a dining area. And last time I was there, they had a big TV going and had a fireplace rolling on it. So it's a comfy atmosphere.
Yeah, the lounge they call it. Sometimes they'll have music playing out there.
Yeah, it's like a cool little spot to be. Do you find that smaller clubs are a great place to test out new comedy? Do you do that at all? Because I feel like if it hits in a small joint, it'll hit in a big joint.
You know what? It just depends. I never really tried all new material. Like no matter if I'm in a big club or a small club, I put it in incrementally. Like maybe a little bit there, a little bit there. If something's, if let's say a joke doesn't go over, and when I say a joke doesn't go over, when a joke starts in my act, it's 30 seconds long. It builds and builds and builds. So when a joke doesn't go over, it's not like it's a big wreck. The audience might not even know. Maybe it's saying, that didn't get a big laugh. I move on to something else. But no, now I'm getting ready to do another Netflix special.
Oh, rad.
So I'm sort of doing, the best of the stuff that's working. I'm ready to just hone in and get this thing ready to go.
Are you allowed to say when you're recording and when it'll be on Netflix?
I don't even know. I just know we're going in to, you have to start planning where you're going to do it and who's going to do it. But my manager is just like, let's get ready for that. Maybe it will be Netflix, maybe it'll be HBO Max, but I know we're getting ready to shoot it. And usually when that happens, within the next 3 months, we'll will have
And speaking of HBO Max and Netflix, you've had a relationship with both, now with your animated show on HBO Max, but you did a Netflix special back in 2012 with them.
I did, and then another one in, I think, 2019.
Oh, a more recent one. Okay.
Yeah, that's called, the other one was called Todd Glass Talks About Stuff, I think. Yeah. I didn't really know what to call it. And this one's called Act Happy. And that's also with the band. That's when I started to do the band. That's also in the band. Act Happy is Netflix. But like I said, Todd Glass, The Event of a Lifetime on YouTube, that's really seeing what I do on the road. People sometimes don't go out to see what you do, and then they get there. Like, no one would just go to a movie and go, what movie are you going to see? I'm just going to a movie. They're playing
just
movies.
Walking in.
Yeah, just going to play,
Yeah.
But for comedy, they do. And comedy is so different. There's all types of comedy. So today with social media, familiarize yourself with a comedian instead of being angry at him because what he does you don't like.
Yeah.
Familiarize yourself with it.
Yeah, you can really create or find that comedian that's tailor-made for your taste. And then you don't have to be upset on the internet later, which
you don't have
we
to
have
be
a lot
upset.
of.
And it would be different if a comedian went and wasn't doing his job, or he was drunk and not performing well. That's different. But when you're out there, you're just doing what you do. I remember the days of Mitch Hedberg or Kevin Meaney, some of these guys that were a little different, the masses didn't buy them, and then sometimes they would get angry. They'd be like, ugh. What is this? This isn't comedy. Well, hold on. It's not the comedy you like, but you don't have to write it off.
That's what I really appreciate about comedy is it's so subjective. It can be anything. It's not going to make everyone laugh, but if it makes someone laugh, then it falls into that comedy category. I
just need 200 people for 5 shows this weekend to think I'm funny, and and usually the masses. I don't have any horror stories.
Where does your inspiration for comedy come from? Because you've been doing this for a little while.
I know, I've been doing it a long time. Going with the flow, not minding change. New comedians are inspirational to me because they're doing different things, and I go, wow, I didn't think to be silly like that or to be able to do that in my act. And I think comedy's in a great place. I'm not one of these people that believes you can't say anything anymore. I don't believe that's true at all. There's some words. Hey, look, the other side can react. That's all. It's funny. Comedians have had a history, and I'm a comedian, of talking about stuff they don't like, sometimes making fun of things that are near and dear to people's heart. But the minute other people can do it to them, they're like, oh, you can't do anything anymore. No, you can. Just people can react. And I don't always agree with the outcry on Twitter or Instagram, or someone didn't like this comic. I don't always agree with it, but I do a lot. I do agree with the outcry sometimes. I go, look, you can be better than that. You're just being like a bully with a microphone.
Yeah.
And I lived in the 80s, and I did comedy in the 80s, and there was brilliant comedy in the 80s, but there was a lot of racism and homophobic jokes and sexism. Go watch Old Evening at the Improvs. So I don't mind learning from my past. It doesn't mean I was a bad comedian back then. It's just like a parent. You can become a better parent without ever being an atrocious parent.
Do you think current day, though, allows people to step back, look at their mistakes, and then still maintain spotlight?
Well, that's their choice.
Yeah.
They can either complain, go, you can't say anything anymore. Meanwhile, comedy's more diverse than it's ever been. There's more comedy than ever been. And I think what they're trying to say is sometimes people don't say things. I was in counseling once with my significant other, and she said something. She goes, Todd, I am repeating back what you said, but I'm saying it a little cleaner, and you don't like the way it sounds because you buffered it to sound better. And I think that's what people do subconsciously when they go, you can't say anything anymore. Say what you mean. And here's why they won't, because it doesn't sound like you're being fair. They go, you know what, if they said what they meant, they'd go, you know what I don't like anymore? I know I can say whatever I want, even if the network won't let me say it, I can do a podcast, but I don't want other people to be able to react. Oh, that's what's got you. Okay, well, tough.
Yeah.
Tough. Now people can react, and I think it's a good thing that people can react. Maybe it keeps them. I just like going with the times. I want to do comedy when I'm 70. I want to do comedy when I'm 80, and I don't want to be saying things that a new group of people, they think, oh, kids today, everyone's so sensitive. That's what they all want to say. Everyone's so sensitive.
We've been saying that for years, though.
We've been saying it for years.
The generation ahead of us are always complaining about them young kids.
That's right, and it's so boring, and and I know I might even hear people that are listening right now, and they might go, oh, I've been saying that. Well, stop it.
Yeah.
It's nothing new, and you don't even preface it. No one even goes, oh, the kids today. They don't even preface. I know they said in the 50s, they said in the 60s, they said in the 70s. They just say it like it's never been said, and it never weathers the test of time. Do we ever look back at the comedy from 70s and think it was horrible? Was the comedy from the 80s horrible? No, we remember a lot of good stuff. And same with this era. We're going to look back. We're not going to look back and go, remember 2021 when no one could be funny. It's not going to weather the storm that way. You just have to not mind change. It's like it's more than comedy. It's life. It's like being in a relationship. And I think the most sensitive people are sometimes the people that are asked kindly to, hey, why don't you not say that anymore? They always go, oh, everyone's so sensitive. And I always go, are you sure it's not you? And
Maybe
don't just
you're
answer that. Maybe you're the sensitive one. And I always say to people, don't answer that. Sleep on it. Because you're not going to answer it and go, oh, yes, he's right, it is me. But sleep on it. Go, what have I been asked and how am I maybe overreacting? So I just don't mind change. I don't mind learning new things about comedy. And also don't change begrudgingly. Because someone said, I hear this a lot, how can you do good comedy when you have to be so careful? I go, I'm not scared. It's like if you were a parent and you went to counseling and they said, hey, don't call your daughter or your son stupid. Now, there's two ways you can take that in. You can go, oh, great, now I got a parent and I'm scared I'm going to do it wrong, as opposed to going, wow, I was a tool to learn me to be a better parent. I'm not scared doing my comedy. I say whatever I want. Sometimes I hear about a group of people, a phrase that I don't use anymore, a word I don't use anymore. I do it willingly because I realized a long time ago, growing in comedy willingly is so willingly, not like a child when you say thank you to that man or say you're sorry, I'm sorry. That's how a lot of people have grown.
I do see a lot of it seems like oftentimes comedians or whoever, they say something people don't like, and instead of just coming forward and saying I'm sorry, it almost feels like their PR team said you need to say sorry on Twitter.
It doesn't sound from the heart. And by the way, what I was going to say real quick is that growing willingly, happily, is a lot more fun than not growing angrily. And someone goes, well, why can't you not grow happily? Because you don't. You get angrier and angrier. But what you just said about that, to say to be a comic, a good comic, you have to ignore the pulse of some people sometimes. I get that. I'm a comic. If every great comic, paid attention to the criticism, you couldn't be a great comic. But that doesn't mean all the time. Sometimes, don't you ever hear criticism? You're like, oh, I can do better than that. Yeah. So that's how I grow.
It just hurts sometimes. Sometimes I think our own pride gets in the way of our growth. And you're right, that anger can take over. And anger can be good to some extent. Right. But when you're controlled by it, then it kind of becomes a terrible mastermind. Yeah. And you're like, but you're right, though. So are you kind of in this camp that perhaps it's not sensitivity, instead it's forcing comedians to be funny in I don't want to say smarter ways, but smarter is the only word that comes to mind. Like smarter ways that is more expansatory to a larger audience.
I think, look, every comedian should do whatever they want. I'm not. Yeah. I'm not.
You're not the comedy gods.
I always say that. I go, I'm just giving my opinion. I feel like that's why I go, I think comedians are more sensitive and people, because I'm not making. Look. You can do a podcast now. People go, if Lenny Bruce was around today, he'd roll over in his grave. You really think so? So you really don't have any idea. You're trying to give an homage to Lenny Bruce. I think you just indirectly insulted him because you're going, oh, if he was around today, he'd roll or whatever. He'd, whatever that phrase is. Really? You think because comedians that we know, some comedians have been they've been on a show, they got knocked off it because of something they said. But you think Lenny Bruce was upset because when he got out of jail the next day, he goes, all I can do now is start a podcast that will go from Israel to London to Florida to Chicago.
Oh, shoot.
Now you can do that. So you might, if you decide to go somewhere and you want to be at Netflix, you want to be on SNL, you have to answer to some of their rules. But now, if you don't want to answer to any of the rules, you can do your own thing. And I think it's a great time to do comedy. I think there's so many funny new comedians. And it's just like when people go, there's no good music anymore. A friend of mine said, he goes, you know what? And he's an older guy, but he just knows where to go. He goes, most of the time, they just don't know where to go to find it.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe you're not looking in the right place, because I'll get on TikTok or Instagram and I'll think, wow, this is a great idea, and it was executed in a singular fashion, meaning one person did this whole idea, played this whole cast of characters, and did it so flawlessly and seamlessly that you thought it was easy. But
and it's funny you say that, because there's a lot of junk on TikTok, but there's a lot of junk. There's a lot of books. When radio came out, there's always a lot of junk. But with a little self-control, it's like someone going, I don't like movies, they're horrible. Well, no, there are some horrible movies. Hopefully you'll find the good ones. And I love TikTok. I love the creative outlet. Sometimes I'll see someone do something that's so funny and so simple that I get jealous. I go, how did they know that just doing that quick little thing with a little edit would be so funny? And it inspires me, and I love it. And it also, for an older generation, it might go, oh, TikTok, because you're watching it from afar. But it's also introducing a lot of young people to older comedy. Not only new things, but you'll see clips from old sitcoms come on there and old shows. Sometimes they don't weather the storm too well, but sometimes they do. And whenever you see something from 40 years ago or 30 that is still funny, look, you can make little mistakes. I don't give up on something if I'm watching it from 30 years ago and, okay, that word, we don't use that word.
Yeah.
But you take it into consideration. You're not looking to micromanage and pick, but sometimes it's so egregious. So when you watch something and it comes up on TikTok, a comedian, a movie, a song, and it's still... It's still great. You go, that means that didn't happen by accident.
It was intentional.
It was intentional.
When you say that, I think of, because I watched the new Ghostbusters movie, which is phenomenal, by the way. I think of like Ghostbusters, those movies that are like, man, that was funny in the 1980s, and that's funny now. It stands the test of time. And of course, we can look at those little things and go, oh, we've evolved beyond little things, right. But we're not going to.
But when it gets, I'm so sorry, but when it gets, when it gets to the point where, you know, you watch some old movies. I don't want to mention the movies, but a friend of mine goes, oh, the kids today, he told me, he's not a comedian. He goes, yeah, the kids today, I show them the old movies I like. They don't have any sense of humor anymore. They're all so PC. I go, Tom, stop it.
Yeah.
Why do you mind that a movie that we watched and we liked in hindsight is extremely, I'm going to use the word, rapey.
Yeah. Oh, it's got them rapey vibes.
And that's disgusting.
I know
it's
exactly
always them leering in at a woman trying to watch her. 16 Candles was like,
it's creepy.
She was drugged, and then so stop it. Stop blaming it on the kids. They're not just PC. There's great comedy. Comedy can be crass. I always point that out because I am not talking about doing beige comedy.
Yeah.
You can be crass. Crass is funny. You can be crass without punching down.
Yeah.
And again, I always say this, for myself too. I have stuff in my past that I'm like, oh God, I wish I could get that off the internet.
But you're not running from it. You're saying like, yeah, I kind of messed up there. I wasn't as smart as I should have been.
You get it. Exactly. I'm not running from it. And if it was egregious, I don't mind apologizing for it in a heartfelt way. People are not stupid. When you hear, you said it before, like a lot of times they apologize, like they want to apologize enough to keep their job, but not enough to lose their fans.
Yeah.
The ones that don't want them to give, apologize. They're like, no, stand your ground. So what? And they apologize like even after they apologize once and then they're asked about it a week later, they go, I already apologized about this.
Yeah,
that sounds like a bad relationship when you do something to your significant other and they maybe bring it up again, not in a horrible way, and you go, I just apologized to you. Oh, you sound like it's just,
You sound like a douchebag.
Yeah.
I do often think,
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. Don't even worry about it. You're a popular guy.
Look at this. Off.
See ya. I do think sometimes it's like, okay, you apologize, but did you change your ways? Because if you just said sorry and you're still doing the same crappity crap, you really didn't make a change.
And you know what else? When they try to make themselves the hero, you know what I want to say? You want to be brave?
Yeah.
Be brave. Say what you really mean.
Yeah.
That's what bothers me. Not that we disagree, but they're good. They apologize. Why don't you be braver? Why don't your fans would love if you went, no, I'm not apologizing because I meant what I said. Because most of them do. Because when you apologize genuinely, if I had somebody brought something up from my act, from the past. I have a few things that just because I'm not, for lack of a better way of saying it, famous enough, no one's dug into my past. I'm being very honest. There'd be some things that they might go, oh, but hopefully my new work, ironclad, would show that I've changed. But if not, I would say, I fantasize this. If someone goes, maybe it's a year after I already apologized, they go, hey, I know you probably addressed this before, but that, in that thing where you did that, I would go, first of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity to apologize for that again.
I'm not mad. Some people don't get it.
Yeah, and I always wish I could wash the internet of it, but any chance to go, I was, 28, and I was pushing boundaries that didn't need to be pushed, and I just changed, and I would take that opportunity to do it happily. So most people that you hear apologize, I know a lot of comedians, and I know, not to sound, I know what's going on behind the scenes, and I know when they apologize and they had to.
Yeah.
So I go, you want to act brave? Then don't apologize.
Say what you need to say.
Say what you need to say. So what? You won't do that movie. You won't do that. You'll have a career, and instead of just acting like you're brave, by just don't apologize at all.
But yeah, I think people know when you're lying, and people never respect people who pass the buck or are inauthentic. People at home, no, people are not dumb.
Sorry if I hurt anybody's feelings.
So sorry.
People are, when you're in a relationship, it's the same thing. Look, people can apologize, and you know what? I don't think everyone's always out to get everyone.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people root for people. And when you get a sincere apology, I know when I watch someone and they might have messed up and they apologize genuinely, I'm rooting for them. 1 minute into that apology, I'll turn to a friend. I go, see, look at that.
Good for this guy.
Look how sweet that person was. I believed what they just said, you know?
Yeah.
So
I know exactly what you mean. I know that was a thing. If I remember, correct me if I'm wrong. Around the Kevin Hart hosting the Oscars, he had apologized, and it was like 10 years later.
But what it was a look. People have a right not to want to spend their money. If you had someone that if you had somebody in your own life, just take it a little smaller, because we can throw around the word cancel culture so easily. If you don't go to Burger King, you're not canceling. It's just not your thing. Yeah. And yes, it was 10 years ago, but it showed up on like Twitter or YouTube. It shows up again. And so, like, again, if you said it 10 years ago, that doesn't mean it erases. Yeah. That's your opportunity to go, yes, that was 10 years ago. And, I'm a different person now.
Rehash the apology.
He's not. He is not. I guarantee you, and I don't know this factually, he is not apologizing for. I know he doesn't feel that from his heart. So when you try to play it a victim, what's happening here is you're too scared to not apologize at all. So you give this half-baked apology, and then you act like people that aren't accepting it are picky, when deep down no, they're perceptive. Because when no one was around, if you said to him, and I'm guessing, but I bet I'm right, are you do you hear? Because, it's okay to be sorry for something we did. Mm-hmm. It's also good to stand your ground sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like I said, good comedy can't exist unless sometimes you ignore criticism. But it certainly looks a lot better if sometimes the criticism you go, no, that's good criticism. If every time you get criticism, just like in life with a family member, if every time you get criticism, you're like, that's bull. Oh, you just don't accept criticism.
You know what I'm hearing? Everybody needs therapy. That way they can have a better inward reflection and be more receptive of good criticism that's going to make them grow as a person. I'm a big fan of it.
This isn't a conversation about comedy. It's really, about life.
It's about you growing as a person from a crappy person to an decent
and not
one.
Mind growing.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing now, I know, I'm sorry. We're supposed to be talking about comedy. And
Why are you apologizing?
Okay.
Say it.
Even with the whole non-binary and ways people identify, the same with that. It's hard, but if you thought it wasn't for nothing, you'd learn it. And that's why people learn things. I'm not learning about it because I'm forced to learn about it, and it is hard.
Yeah.
I don't have to pretend it's easy to think it's worth it, but I'm learning. And I saw something on TikTok the other day that really made me. It was somebody, I thought they were going to be negative with it. They're like, oh, now
they get you like that. You think they're going to spin it in one way, and you're going to have to.
And then they spin it the other, and it grabs. And he was saying something. It even taught me. Oh, okay, that made it easier for me to remember how to do it with they or them. Mm-hmm. And he goes, oh, now with them and there, and you can't even say it anymore. I'm so confused. And then he stops while he's doing it, but this is all staged, because he sees a phone just on a park bench. Yeah. Because he's doing his TikTok outside. Yeah. And he goes, oh, to his friend, they must have left this there.
I think I've seen that one.
They must have left this there. Call the police. Maybe they'll. Because, why doesn't he say, someone left a cell phone, maybe he will come back and get it. Oh, look, this girl must, because they don't know. Yeah. So you just stay neutral. And all you have to do is take that and apply it. And I went, oh, okay. Yeah. That helped me remember it better. Like, you already do this. My friend goes, it was easy for me. He goes, when that all came about, because I would never want my friends or my parents to know I was in a relationship. Like, because they'd go, oh, is it? So he goes, I always kept it generic. When I go, what are you doing tonight? Oh, I'm going out with a friend. Oh, they're picking me up. Yeah. So he goes, so I was sort of already good at doing it. Yeah. But anyway, the point is, new things come aboard, and you have to be okay to learn them. And I'm okay with learning it. And socially I do it because I hope it's just right from my heart. Yeah. But I
just want to love people. If that's going to make somebody feel a little bit more loved and accepted, like, cool, I'm here for it. I don't care.
Right. And it's and you know what? If anything, I look at it like maybe it's like a revolution of. It's funny. A lot of people are okay with labels unless they could help somebody. No. They're all right with all the negative labels. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to say the words here unless you know what I mean. The B word or the P word or the C word or R word or all these words. That they're okay with. That they're mad that they can't say anything. Yeah. The N word years ago. Then they're mad. All those words, they don't. But the minute you try to give labels that will help people and be able to identify and live a healthy life, when it was Asperger's, they tried to go, well, we'll call it Asperger's because there's so many different layers of that. And that explains when you say that person has Asperger's, oh, I know how I can deal with them. Now they're just calling it
the spectrum.
The spectrum.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm fine with that. But it's funny, a lot of people are like, oh, now it's this, now it's that. But all the negative ways that can divide people up, those you fight for your life to keep. But when there's some words that might help people live a better, true life, and I hope someone listening to this is a defining moment in someone's life. I really do hope someone's listening to this because I'm saying it kind, I'm saying it loving. Here's an opportunity for you to go, can I change a belief I have?
Yeah.
And you're listening right now, whoever's listening to this, and I hope they go, did I just disagree with this guy from the beginning? Did I turn it off already? Or did I go, maybe he has some good points?
Yeah.
Because if I'm right, like I always tell comedians this, if I'm right, let's say if I'm right, because I want to go on Bill Maher. I really do. I told my manager, I want to get on Bill Maher's show.
I love watching that guy's show.
He's a guy that's saying kids today and all this. I want to go for
He has started saying that.
He has
You're
started
right.
saying that. And I go, I have a different view of it. And I told my manager, but I'm not a guy who wrote an article for the LA Times or New York. I'm a comedian that's doing it 40 years. My opinion is from a comic. I want to get on that show. And I just want to be able to say, the first thing I fantasized saying was, have you ever thought, if I'm right, not I'm right, if I'm right, how much work it would take? Because if you did, you might go, wow, am I subconsciously not wanting to believe I'm wrong because it would take a lot of work? Because if somebody says, wait, maybe this guy's right, it's like being an alcoholic.
Yeah.
That's just the first step. Then I get it. If some comedian heard this in his ears, fantasized, there's a local comic or anybody that heard this and went, I think he's right. You have some work ahead of you to change all your views.
And I think
and maybe, real quick, maybe that's why you don't want, subconsciously, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot easier to think everybody else is the sensitive one because then you don't have any work to do. But if it flips, you're going to go, oh, wait, now I have the work to do.
I often wonder, though, if people look at all the issues they're dealing with in their own life, that they lack space to deal with issues that others are dealing with. So if you're in poverty, you're probably not thinking about this. If you're dealing with an abuse situation at home, you're not thinking about this. So there's so many different myriads where people would have to set their own issues and own needs aside to put a focus on this. And I think sometimes, I don't want to say people are focused on themselves, but oftentimes they need to be.
I think you're dead right. And that includes me.
Yeah.
Like I said, new things are hard to learn. You already have your own problems. Now you're going to learn about this group of people. But I'll say one more thing because I'm really enjoying this conversation.
Yeah.
I mostly come to my opinions not socially. We're talking about comedy, but again, we're talking about life.
This guy's a jokester, if you guys don't know, ladies and gentlemen.
No, I know. And you know what, though? The only person will go, oh, I tuned in to hear him to be funny. I'm funny. Don't you worry about it.
I promise. I saw the evidence.
I'll bring it home at the show. But this is an important conversation that's based in comedy. And I don't come to all my conclusions by what's on the table. I look further back. That's how a detective solves crimes. That's how a judge, that's how people cure diseases, by looking at the broad spectrum. And I look at the broad spectrum, and there's two things that this is very powerful to me, that most people agree with the PC thing. I'm aware of that. Like if I was talking to Bill Maher or Kevin Hart, most comedians, most people think this PC thing is out of control. Cancel culture's out of control.
I do hear that a lot.
I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
People come up to me at parties. They know I'm a comic. They always go, oh, with this PC thing, I guess it's hard to do comedy. Most people agree with you. That isn't a good sign. And that's not an insult to the world.
Well, it sounds like you're in an echo chamber.
And most people have a history. The masses don't have a good history of being on the right side of history. There are small percentage of people that get the masses to want to let women vote or get all the things.
Thanks for letting us vote, guys.
But the masses are not on board. Not only social issues, picking up their own dog poop. I lived when people didn't want to do that. Non-smoking. Most people, the masses are not usually right. So as a comic, if you want to really put a litmus test on the truth, you should go, wait, imagine if you gave a comedian an injection of self-awareness and it got into his veins. 2 minutes later, he's like, wait, most people agree with what I'm saying. That's not good.
But I think that's something beautiful that comes from comedy is you have the opportunity to be on the forefront of thought-provoking conversations in a way that is dosable for people, where they can take it in, interpret it. They laughed about it. That's kind of a door-opening avenue to where they can have further thought down the road. They might not instantly make the click, the connection, or
Right.
agree with you right away, but you're planting the seed a little bit. So that's a beautiful spot that you're in if you've got that ability, and it sounds like
Yes.
you do to convey your message.
Hopefully, yes.
Hopefully.
But yeah, all good. Hey, a good conversation. I hope somebody out there goes, wow, maybe, because again, comedy, there's so many funny new young comedians.
Yeah.
I get excited, when I work in a town and I go to the open mic night, I get in a day early and you see, you go in late at night and, you go to the show, night before I'm there. And comedy's in a great place. How many great shows are there? A lot of people will watch a show, like maybe older people, they'll watch All in the Family. And they'll go, oh, you couldn't do a show like that now.
I have seen that so many
times that I can't take it. And guess what Norman Lear said? You should love this, so take this in. And if people are really, look, there's only one. You're either trying to protect your thoughts, or which means like when a drug addict wants to do drugs, even if he hears ration, when you're on drugs and you're addicted to drugs or whatever it is, you smoke cigarettes or whatever it is, you just don't want that to penetrate to try to quit your habit. So I'm going to tell you what Norman Lear said, and somebody out there that's saying you can't do that anymore, you couldn't do that anymore. If that's this is a great moment to prove whether you can change your belief. You know what Norman Lear said, and I love this.
Bear me, what'd he say?
Someone goes, you couldn't do another All in the Family. An interviewer, I saw it on Instagram or something. Couldn't do another All in the Family today, could you? You know what he said? Good. It did its job. And that made me so happy because he could have said, no, you couldn't. He goes, there's other battles to take now. Do you want another character like Archie Bunker on TV today? It was good at its time, and it did its job to combat a lot of racism, a lot of homophobia, a lot of sexism. That probably battled the least because at that time his relationship with Edith was acceptable. So he said, good, there's other battles to battle, and, it's not, and it did its job. It did its job. They weren't, people go, whenever Archie says something, horrific, people go, oh, you couldn't have a show like that. That show wasn't to glorify Archie. It was to show that Archie's thoughts, were wrong.
You're elevated in thought. I'm on the lower end of thought thinking, thank God, then Hollywood has to come up with something original. I'm sick of all these remakes.
And combat a new problem. Not what do you want? You need that show back on television today. It did its job. It was funny in its time.
Do you think things have become so highly politicized and people hear so much about certain topics that when it leaks into pop culture, mainstream shows that people just are so sick of hearing it, they turn it off?
Yeah, I think they're just tired. I get it. People are tired of because they feel that, like you said a minute ago, life's hard enough and you're already dealing with this. And now you gotta learn your in-laws' brother's name and this and that. Now you gotta, this people. I get it. I do get it. Change is hard. But look, comedy is, it's, I don't think, like I told a friend of mine who's 35, I go, you're mad already? You're going to be furious when you're 50 if you're mad now, So, but audiences and I think it's great. There's great clubs now. It's a good time. It's a really good time, and I'm having a ball out there.
Yeah. Are you on tour? Where else are you going to be?
I am. I've been doing a lot of dates with, which are so much fun. Like my favorite thing to do stand-up is to go out after the show. Yeah. And, eat some, have some dinner and drink and have some fun, maybe have a little fresh air, is what I like to call it. So I, like, sometimes I'll tour with other acts, and it's always a lot of fun.
Do you have an opening act here?
I do have an opening act, and I'm spacing on his name. But I know he opened up for Todd Berry, and Todd Berry's like, oh, we should know his name. Anyway, maybe you could put it in post.
I'll see how much time I have.
But he's going to go out. He does 10 or 15 minutes, and then me.
Yeah.
But I've been on the tour with Jim Gaffigan doing like a lot of dates.
Yeah.
And big places, like sometimes 5,000-6,000 people, and doing on tour doing that. And just after being, for the pandemic and you couldn't do anything.
Pandemic. Yeah. I know that the Blue Room, I saw Amos Gill there a couple weeks, and there was some kind of like local type guys that opened for him. And the Blue Room does such a great job at bringing in those local guys that are just the
Yeah, he
bee's
really
knees.
supports a lot of diversity, which I always think it's funny. Like I always tell, when people complain about now you got to have this on the show and that on the show, I go, diversity is to have all types of comedians on the show. It's not a mercy mission to the to the diversity, to the people that are you're booking. You know, maybe more women, maybe more gay people, maybe more people that identify differently. It's not a mercy mission for that act. It makes better audiences. When I go around clubs and I see who the pictures that are hanging on the wall, the more diverse the pictures on the wall are, the better the audiences are.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's not a mercy mission to just, it ends up making better audiences because those people represent the world. And whenever your comedians represent the world, and the more diverse your shows are, the more diverse your audiences are.
Yeah.
I did comedy in the 80s, and I'm not stupid, but this might sound like I was stupid, but I remember my comedian friends in the 80s, I know we got to wrap it up. In the 80s, they would go, oh, how come no only white people come to comedy clubs? And now you look back, you're like, oh, that's why. So now when you see more diverse shows, that you have more diverse audiences, and it's better for everybody.
Yeah, I know that every time I've been to Blue Room, it's been like a diverse in every faction, it seems like, audience. And everybody loves it. It's such a cool spot to see this diverse group come together and laugh together. There's a unifying element to comedy.
And Chris does a really good job.
He does.
Both, Chris, Molly, I don't know between the two of them, but Chris does a great job. I noticed that the last time I was here is like having as much diversity as he can. And a little town like Springfield, you would think maybe there wouldn't be diversity.
Hey, we're a mid-sized city, sir.
Mid-sized city, I'm sorry.